it's actually fairly amazing if you think about it. Like paper money was invented 350 years ago, right? We're 350 years later. And the number of people in the world who can rely on what we would consider to be sort of a modern stable currency is still, 10%, 20%. Most of the world still doesn't have a stable, rational, reasonable, well-governed currency. Most of the world still doesn't exist in a well-run banking system. Most of the world does not have, the equivalent of the U.S. Treasury Department. They don't have a, government bureaucracy in charge of the financial system that works well. Many places in the world have these, have capital controls. They, these very sharp and arbitrary, restrictions of what people can do with their money. And then they do all kinds of arbitrary things to their citizens all the time. And, it's like, you see this, it's like every year, like there's some major panic meltdown. It's one year it's Venezuela, the next year it's Argentina, the next year it's Greece, the next year it's, whatever, Turkey. And we just cycle, globally, we cycle from, sort of financial catastrophe to financial catastrophe. And so this is a big part of my, and you could say, you should temper your optimism here because this stuff is obviously hard to get right. But the other way to look at it is the status quo assumptions have had 3.5 centuries, right? Adam Smith was a long time ago, right? And the U.S. Federal Reserve is 100 years old. And again, love it or hate it, at least, we know how that system works. And, we now have 100 years of experience, and there's many other countries that ought to be able to have a Federal Reserve caliber central bank after the 100 years of experience in the U.S., and yet they don't.